Hi, welcome to the second episode of my new series where I'm going to teach you how to get better at speaking English and also thinking in English. This is Susan Broder from Speak Languages and Travel the World, here to help you improve your English with minimum effort and maximum benefit. In each of these episodes, I'm going to teach you 3 strategies for improving your spoken English as well as getting you to think in English. Strategy number 1, speak out loud to yourself. Now, you will have trouble believing it, but in every language we use different muscles in our jaw, in our mouth, in our palate, and we need to practice. Therefore, the only way to practice is to speak, and this is the secret. Speaking will help you to speak more fluently. Therefore, you should speak to yourself out loud as much as you can. When you get dressed in the morning, say to yourself, I'm putting on my trousers, where's my t-shirt? No, I prefer the other one, and so on. Anything you can say to yourself when you're alone, when no one can hear you. Therefore, you feel much more confident because you're not worried that someone's going to laugh at you. At the same time, you're training your speaking muscles. So this is tip number 1, speak to yourself as much as you can. Tip number 2, if you speak to yourself in the mirror, you'll be able to also see your facial expressions, and you'll be also able to maybe make a speech, practice a speech before you need to hold a conference and maybe speak in front of lots of colleagues, but also if you need to make a presentation in front of the class, or even just if you're worried about going to the restaurant and ordering a meal. So stand in front of the mirror maybe a couple of times a week and speak, but speak to the mirror so you can see what you look like, what shape your mouth makes when it's speaking the words. You can hear yourself and maybe try and say it again and make improvements on it. So tip number 2, speak in the mirror to yourself. Tip number 3, there are many people who feel they're not confident when they speak, and therefore they feel they're stuttering, they're speaking in a choppy way, they're not fluid, they're not fluent. And a very good way to practice getting over this is to find something to talk about. Maybe the first time you could introduce yourself to a hypothetical person who isn't in the room. Imagine a situation where someone introduces you and you have to speak about yourself. There you spend about a minute. I would actually set the timer. Spend about a minute speaking about yourself. If the timer goes off, don't worry, just finish what you were saying. Then maybe think about it, take note of any difficulties you have, wait a moment, and then set the timer again, speak again. Speak to yourself, say the same things, maybe improve on what you said, stop it when the time's up. At this point, you're feeling quite confident. So at this point, I would record yourself saying what you've been practicing. So set the timer for another minute, and this time speak recording yourself. You shouldn't feel self-conscious because you've already practiced it twice, and this time you'll do your best to use the best vocabulary to be fluent. You've already collected your ideas, so you don't have to think about them, but you know exactly what you're going to say, and stop the time roughly when you've finished speaking about it. Now, keep this recording and do this as often as possible. Once a day would be ideal, but each time changing the topic for about 7 days. If you skip a day, it doesn't matter, but about 7 times. After about 7 days, I would recommend listening to the recording that you'd done on the first day, the one of introducing yourself, and hearing how it sounds, then redoing it for another minute, recording yourself, and then compare the recordings. I'm pretty sure that the second recording about a week later will be much better and you'll feel much more fluent and much more confident. You'll be amazed at how much you've improved. And this is a fantastic strategy, recording yourself speaking about something, leaving time, do other recordings, and then going back to it, re-recording what you've said and comparing. You won't believe how much you improve. This is really excellent for your fluency, so try it out. So let's summarize. Strategy number 1, speak to yourself. Strategy number 2, speak in the mirror. And strategy number 3, first talk to yourself for a minute about twice consecutively about a topic. Then the third time round, record it and put it aside. Listen to it again in about 7 days' time and make a second recording and then compare. Obviously, between that recording and the end of the 7 days, you should have made a few more recordings on other topics so that you're practicing your fluency. And each time you'll listen to the next one and you'll be really amazed. Don't forget to write in the comments below any experiences you have implementing my strategies. And don't forget to subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell because that way you'll be notified of any new videos I produce. These are my 3 tips for today, and I'll see you again in the next lesson. Bye!